Well, greetings and salutations, everyone, all fans around the world. It's time for some Imposter Kings. I think we are doing some Speed Kings with Dan Koch with me. Dan, you can actually turn on your video. I'm going to show the Zoom first off before we get into the Imposter King Stadium. There's
Tina,
Dan.
a pleasure as it always is to join you here for some high-level Imposter Kings here in Imposter King Stadium. It has been too long, but there's been a lot of action. It has not been quiet since our last tournament, since our last VOD. There's been a lot of action as the summer tournament has raged on, and we are at the climax of said tournament right now between two excellent players.
Yeah, I think they're both well known in the community. I'm like a floating head next to you, by the way, and you're behind the Imposter Kings backdrop, which is pretty cool. Is that? Ooh, I like it. You're there in the stadium. I'm just remote.
I'm in the stadium. That's right. Because of COVID protocols, you are not in the stadium in the booth with me, but you're still here. We've got all the AV rigged up, and I gotta say, we've got a real match set up for today, eh?
Yeah. I think we've got two names that everyone knows. We've got the kid who's been the season 2 champion, has won many tournaments, and I've decided to throw a little wrinkle in his world domination plans by introducing a timer. So we will be playing Speed Kings today, meaning that each player only has 30 seconds to make a move, and then if they expend that time, they have 2 safety tokens. After that, it is 3-point forfeits to their opponents. So the kid, left to his own devices, could probably figure out not only quantum physics, but also how to win any game of Imposter Kings. And on the other side, we have Yedi, who is actually one of the contenders who has won quite a lot of the early tournaments back when we weren't having a lot of the season 1 stuff, early Kickstarter. Yedi was coming through and just destroying the upper brackets of those tournaments. So it's exciting to see kind of the old classics coming back.
Yeah, they are the two reigning kings of Imposter Kings. As you mentioned, Yeti very much cleaned up in season one. The kid dominated season two.
You might be
Uh,
confusing him with his brother, who will send you messages because he's actually the season 1 champion, I believe.
oh my, well, I you've got me pegged there, and I
He's got your
apologize.
goose.
For that. But apologies, Goose, for the erasure there of your season one championship. But nonetheless, there is some high level play that we are no doubt in for today. And the Speed Kings format does introduce a wrinkle. You do have 2 times you can go over that 30-second limit, but you do have to move quickly. And sometimes that snap judgment can lead to misplays. It introduces some randomness. It should be pretty wild today. So
Yeah.
it should be a great match for everyone in Imposter King Stadium.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, speaking of which, let's go ahead and get ourselves in there. So let me see if I know how to use transitions. All right. I think we are now in Imposter King Stadium. Dan, let's get you in there too, so you can view the action, as you will. So here we are. Both Yeti has elected. Actually, I think the kid rushed over to take the green because, as we all know, green is the. Oh, they're playing a little handsy over there. Hold on, I'm gonna get in there. Green is the thing that when it was programmed, that is the way to win, is to choose green. So we'll go ahead and start here. I'm gonna let the players know that we're ready to go. Um, and yeah, we'll go ahead and get right into it. So it's a little bit of a crazy thing where, as soon as it starts, whoever is the true king will be randomly selected. Uh, oh,
Clock
uh,
starts right away.
oh, it
So
sure
this,
does.
there it is. You
So
can see it ticking there.
the true king is here. So yeah, we can go ahead and start the timer. And yeah, so right now we're going to look at hands while they are figuring things out. My camera's got reset. No. So on Yeti's side, we have a pretty good hand. I mean, it's got 2 7s and an 8 with the king's hand over there as well as the assassin. So just kind of a pretty good hand there. And on the other side, I think the kid has. Whoa, let me maneuver this camera like a pro. So we've got kind of more royalty centric. They got a sentry as well as up 2 oathbounds and a fool, which is going to be pretty powerful. They can use those oathbounds to get out of jail free. They got queens royal. They got the royalty. It's pretty intense.
They've got
So
a great hand, except they don't have any of the traditional assassin countermeasures. So this game, I think, will revolve very much around assassin counterplay.
right.
That's really the only way I can see the hand right now having success, and we'll see how they do.
Yeah, he's gonna have to hit that judge quite well, especially since he's going first. So Yeti's got to. He's gonna probably try to go into a judge, into an inquisitor, unless he's he's trying to just be risky from the beginning. He doesn't have the assassin to worry about, but he needs to pull out some really good cards here. So now that the kid's got his stuff down, now Yeti has to put his discard and his successor down within the 30-second time limit.
It'll be interesting to see what direction they go with the successor here. They really need performance out of every card. You can't simply toss away an elder because you know both royalty and both oathbounds are on the other side potentially. So this is pressure indeed.
Right. And I think he just realized that his timer went down. I'm not sure if he realized that he was on the timer at that point. Uh, but some of the things are kind of confusing here. I think as we go forward, we'll suss out the implications of what that's going to be, because that's going to be pretty precious, maybe. So now he's clicking furiously here. I think he's ready to go whenever he decides to play. So he's put down, looks like the Elder, and he's thrown away one of his Inquisitors, which makes sense. We've got the Zealot and the Soldier. So he just elected to keep the Soldier instead of the Zealot. It looks like he's doing a power move here, because he knows that that he might have one Elder, and he's hiding that Elder. Now, I do not have volume up, I just realized, for the players, so I apologize. Let me get those going. Let me get that going, because we need to hear what they're doing. Apparently, he nailed it, so good for him. Here we go. Let's listen in. Looks like we're doing an Oathbound. Just straight up. Plays the Inquisitor.
You have a sentry.
Asks for a sentry. Forcing out the sentry.
Oh, thank you.
Interesting to go for
Yeah,
the sentry right
that
now.
is really
Looking, I guess,
interesting.
to pull
Thank you.
beef out.
Yeah, I don't know what that play's indicating here. He doesn't have an answer
No
to.
ability.
He doesn't have an answer
Alright.
to the 2 royalty, I don't think. Maybe he's
So
trying to
go ahead and
pressure
put
the
King's
royalty to
Hand.
come out early. He is moving quickly, if you've noticed. I think maybe he's trying to use time at his advantage here to try to get the kid to make a mistake. I don't think that he's going to make the mistake of flipping, but yeah, I think he's just playing pretty powerful stuff here.
Well, given his hand, he knows he has no oathbounds, he has no
No ability?
royalty, so he cannot flip his king
I'm gonna
without
go
knowing
ahead
he's
and
putting
flip on
himself in
that.
great peril
That's true.
on anything besides a royalty card.
Yep. So he's not got his Elder. Hopefully, he knows that he can't pull it. Oh, that's a card. That's a
Oh.
big card.
No.
Oh boy, the fool coming
The
off
fool
the
coming
king
out and
flip,
giving him a king's
and the
hand.
king's hand
Okay.
collected.
That's protecting
and I gotta
him.
say,
That's
he's in
I'm gonna go
that's.
ahead
desperate
and I'm
shape
gonna
now.
Mystic
Yeah.
Eights.
Oh, so he uses the Mystic against 8s.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Result.
Yep. So he resolves it.
So you said it did resolve?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
sorry.
he's
my bad,
just
sorry.
resetting the timer since he let the king's hand resolve, aka he's not going to use the king's hand on that. I mean, this is still really tough, right?
I'm gonna take one of my timers. Yeah.
So
I
he's
mean,
announcing that he's
Um,
taking his timer, which is
Yeah,
really
if you're
funny.
the kid right now, you're thinking likely you've got a 3-point win here.
If you play it
but
right.
You could misplay yourself into a loss.
Yeah.
So,
So he
this
takes
is
one
a good
timer
use of
here,
the time.
At
Yep.
1 minute 30 seconds on the timer, he's now considering what he should play. I think that's the right play. So now he's forcing Yeti to have to play
Okay.
the Warlord here. And with the Warlord out of the picture, then he can now play the King's Hand and then the Queen after, and that should be lights out.
Word.
So now he plays the King's Hand on this. the king's hand has been reduced to a 3, so he can still play his elder, but the queen is going to put him out. Right, the mystic brings it down to a 3. Man, if I had made it a 2, game designer notes, that would have been devastating. He would have still
That's
won.
right.
Value of 3.
Yep.
And then he
And
plays
there
the
it is. Here
queen,
comes the queen.
Bam.
and that is a 3-point
point.
hand.
A fool play.
Yeah, the fool play was really what got him there. So
GG's.
that was a
What
first
a round.
good GG for the first round.
So
3
Yedi
points.
I
draws
thought you'd give me with the
draws
assassin.
a tough hand here, and the kid draws first blood in a serious
Is
way.
there
A
any way he
3
could have
point
run
run
victory.
that?
Yeah, I mean that was
It
a
was a
tough
good
one
play to
to
play.
for
I think
Yeti to
your
get out
flip
of.
was a mistake.
Yeah,
Oh,
again,
I had to. My elder was face down.
when you're in
I
that
could have, if I
situation,
hadn't done that, I could have just had elder in my hand. What would I have dropped?
yeah, you
I
just
could have
have no
dropped
hand
Mystic, I
flexibility
guess.
because you have no
Then
royalty,
eldered.
no oath bounds, only one elder. That means that to play against, assuming that your opponent has both royalty, which is a reasonably safe assumption, you have to use your king flip on one and your elder on the other, or you're dead. And that just gives you such little hand flexibility that you're really playing the opponent's hand, even if they don't know they have initiative. And
Right.
trying to get out of that is difficult.
Yeah, I think he started off pretty strong. He had his Inquisitor out. He tossed the other Inquisitor, which I thought was interesting. He was honestly, he was looking like he was going to win, and then he dropped the Fool, and I think the no answer to the Fool was really difficult. He risked it by doing what's it called, the King's Hand as part of the pressure, but that did lead into the Fool being able to play it. So the judge guessed at the beginning was the sentry. He guessed correctly, put his Inquisitor down, used the Inquisitor, pulled it back out, but it just wasn't enough. And I think if he had guessed that maybe the kid had dropped the Fool, that would have been a pretty devastating line. But I think yeah, it's a difficult hand to play. Let's go ahead and go to the next one. So that's 3 points to the kid. Let me just make sure they're ready. When both players ready. So they'll go ahead and start it up here. And let's go ahead and listen in as they get their new cards here. So looking at Yedi, he's got a much better hand here. A lot of 5s though. But he's got the Mystic and he's got two royalty and an assassin there. Looks like they're adjusting a true king situation here. Then on the other side, we got 2 8s and a 7. That's really powerful. He's got a 6-1 combo. I don't know, Dan. What do you think?
Ooh, this is a fascinating hand. You've got one side which has, again, the assassin and both royalty, but not a whole lot of else. He does have the mystic, which could help put pressure to set up the assassin. And then the other side, right, you've got the rest of the beef. And so you've got the king's hand, which will be pivotal. You've got the inquisitor. It'll be interesting. What will be a great decision here is who goes first about whether Yedi wants to take initiative here, not having an inquisitor, but to just try to steer the kid's hand through a battery play to try to push out all the options.
All right. And let me just make sure that the players are understanding that stuff's going on here. Let me just make sure they're ready. Tricking. Let me unmute them.
Okay.
Looks like Yeti's deciding here.
So
I don't know. Yeah, I think you have to go first with the 555s, and you know that they
Good
have
old Speed
Inquisitors.
Kings, eh?
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you got to squeeze.
I
You
wanna go
got to have
second
the
here.
initiative here. So using the 5s to squeeze out
starting.
those 7s and 8s out of the kid's
so
hand, I
you're
think is the
starting.
way to go.
Okay, so he's giving it over to the kid. My goodness, that is. I'm gonna pause the timer as they figure it out. So the timer will start as soon as one player has got both of their things down. Looks like he's throwing away the Zealot. Looks like the Zealot's not a popular play for the kid. He's not a Zealot fan. Elder's gone. Obviously makes sense. He's got the 2 royalty over on Yeti's side here. And he's dropping his successor Warlord here. So now the timer's starting for Yeti. And it looks like he is set to go. And he's placing his assassin down.
All right. There we
What
go.
was the face down burn
30
card?
seconds for my first play.
Oh, yeah,
Cool.
the Oathbound, sorry.
So the other Oathbound not available. Interesting. Again, he's pawing at his Inquisitor, and we'll see what his lead is.
Yeah, he has to. I mean, this
I'm
is...
gonna name Assassin.
I do not
Oh,
have this.
misses it.
Went for the assassin and missed.
Well, I wonder if that's going to be super detrimental. I mean, he's got a battery now with the judge if he wants to use that, meaning that he can play, or he could just play a straight up 5, but the soldier.
The danger with the battery is he can always
Oh,
flip on the
he's
judge,
flipping.
but instead he does the immediate flip, which of course telegraphs that that's the assassin underneath. I think that's a wise move because I think if he did the battery, the kid would have flipped on the middle.
But the
No
thing
doubt.
is that he's got the king's hand, right? Does he have an answer for getting the king's hand out of his hand? The good news about flipping too is that it diminishes the fool's ability there.
I think I'm going to.
Oh,
Mystic.
there we go. That's getting rid of the 8s.
Yeah, 8s.
Oh, and it hits both 8s.
He has 30 seconds to
He-
decide whether he wants to king's hand it. So I think he'll think about this one.
He really should king's hand it
I think,
to
yeah, he
preserve
will.
his
I will
sentry.
king's hand
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And send it back to you.
yep, that's right. And so now he is gonna have to play on that 6. It's kind of
This.
annoying. But this is good. No, he's putting the pressure on all the right places here. So now that's Elder number 1. He does not know that he does not have the second Oathbound, but still, if he puts the pressure on right now, he could win the game. Like, for example, if he played the princess right now, he wins, right? Am I right? Am I right? I don't
That's
know.
right. Yeah, he'd have to
But he doesn't
flip,
know that,
and it would be-
obviously. He
Yep.
might think that he has a 6-1 combo, and so he might be worried about the fact that he played the Oathbound into the Fool and will grab. But does he know he has the Sentry? No, he does not. He can assume, well, it's not, I don't
Do
know.
you have an Oathbound?
There you go, he's checking for it.
I do not.
So that's big pressure. Now, sentry play here.
He has to, right? Like, there's nothing else
Yeah,
you
he
can
has
do.
to play the sentry. The question is to trade out
The
to
Fool?
flip and then try to trade the fool for something.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing he can really get is the Elder, but that telegraphs like no one's business, right? If he searches, he gets the Elder, then he could just play a 5 and win. He doesn't have any answer for this assassin. So he can just play the Elder and hope for the best, and that's what he's doing. Unfortunately for
he's-
him, Yeti's got the princess there. He can ensure a swap too if he really wants to. It doesn't really matter. What's going to happen here is that he's going to have to flip his king, and he's going to lose to the assassin.
That's right. Yep, there's
Just enough,
princess.
use the ability.
No swap. Here's the flip and over.
That's right. All right. Well, there we go.
Okay.
2 points to Yeti.
I just didn't have it.
Yeah, I mean, that
true-
was an interesting hand, right? Let's hear what the
truly
players have to say
inspired.
first.
Interesting.
Yeah, as soon as you played the Mystic, I knew I was down.
You're like, oh no, no.
Yeah, that was, I think the Mystic was the pivotal play there, and I think Yeti played it perfectly. He kept the assassin hidden. He flipped early. I would have played it risky, and I would have lost. So I think like that's where I think the smartness comes in, where he knew that he had to flip early. He even was cautious about the Oathbound, which was a smart play as well. I think you really needed to. So, so yeah, I mean, kudos to Yeti for finding that line. You don't see assassin plays because usually people have a lot of contingencies, but he
Yeah, I
did
mean,
everything in his power to get rid of all those contingencies.
He absolutely did. You know, I didn't think it was a great move to give up initiative by letting the kid go first, but what made that was giving up initiative and then successoring the assassin to have that Inquisitor play miss. And then once that happened, he did exactly the right thing by not getting greedy with the advantage to then flip, which diffused the fool play, which was one of the outs for the kid, made the kid, squeeze out what was left of his hand at that point. And it was really well played by Yedi to turn that into a 2-point win.
I would have 100% done the battery there, and I think I would have lost. I think that line was really good. He flipped, it causes it, so the flip also gives him the ability to play the Mystic the next turn, and I think that was great. Like, he played the Oathbound, and then right after that, Mystic hit the eights, and there it is, and there you've got it. So yeah, I think we'll go on to the third game now here. So looking at their hands. Again, the True King. They kind of just shove it into each other's.
All right, no queen in this hand.
Oh, yeah, there's no queen, and the Fool's also tucked away, too. So both of them have
Oh,
an Oathbound, but none of them really. Yeah, I think this is going to be a pretty good one here. So let's take a look. We've got a pretty good hand here. He's got the battery again, and just a 9 and an 8 with the Assassin. On the other side, we have. Where's the King's hand? Did I miss that? Oh, he's got the King's hand as well.
Yeah, Yeti's got the King's hand to go with the Assassin.
So that's pretty good, and this is going to be a tough one for the kid, I think. He's got that middle warm color type thing going, but he's got a couple powerful cards in the Warlord and the Mystic. He's just got to play it perfectly. I wonder if he's going to throw away the Zealot again. Looks like... I'll just go ahead and set that.
The kid has a lot of countermeasures for the Assassin. His hand would not seem as strong if the queen was in play. It is not, and if the fool was in play, which it's not.
He chose to go first, and Yedi buried his king's hand. So, interesting play there. And he threw away the Zealot again. Apparently the Zealot's bad. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first.
Interesting. Well, hiding the king's hand is a fascinating move. Sometimes the king's hand is one of
the... He showed that he's throwing away the Elder.
Now, do I have to mark it?
So, interesting thing about the king's hand is often the king's hand is a safe pick if you just want to guess something you figure is in your opponent's hand. So hiding it can often confound cases where you're not trying to get information. You're just trying to get a soldier to a 7 or get some flips out of it or get a judge set up. So that could be pivotal.
Yeah, it sure can. And I think, I think he has a big decision here, right? He has to figure out what his first play is going to be. What would you call, Dan?
I might actually go straight for the princess.
If I was playing against Goose, for sure. And this is his brother we're talking about.
I will name Assassin.
Goes Assassin.
Yes, I do.
But he goes Assassin again, and he hits.
All right. Very good.
So diffuses that, which does change the complexion of the hand quite a bit.
It does. It changes everything. Now I would hit the princess for sure. He doesn't know he doesn't have the Fool, so maybe an Oathbound too is another play.
I will name King's Hand.
I do not have the king's hand.
Misses it.
Now the king's hand hiding works.
Yeah. So now it's the kid's turn to basically rapid fire all of his abilities before the king's hand comes into play. I think the sentry's a really good counter to the king's hand here too. If he can use it to pick it up, it threatens essentially the princess. But
do you have the sentry?
I do.
Here comes the muscle. Now he's just muscling him out with a bunch of big number cards. So here comes the first. Interestingly enough, Yedi just enabled his Mystic by doing that.
He enabled the Mystic. That play really suggests someone concerned about the Fool, which he does not know is not available.
But what's interesting is that I wouldn't have. I guess he had to make a decision between the Fool or
no ability.
No ability, just a straight 7. So he's not going to use it anyways, but I just thought that was interesting. So now he has to either play his princess, flip, or use an Oathbound. He's got to be wondering. He's got to be wondering what's going on here. Both of them think that the Fool's in play, so they're like playing very cautiously around, making sure they disgrace the middle.
I'm gonna go ahead and flip.
Right, and tiptoeing around a king flip, which he just did.
He just did it.
In a actually that given the hand he had left, that was a good opportunity. He gets his king's hand out.
Interesting. He's playing his Oathbound. So he's not going to have that anymore. What's his successor? He has the Zealot as his successor. That's right. Zealot.
Zealot.
And another Oathbound. I guess
all right,
they're
Oathbound
just really
tossed.
showing. They're really just explaining to each other, hey, I promise I don't have the Fool. All right, so now we're getting a big card threatening, hopefully getting a King's Hand, I think, potentially. The problem with the King's Hand now is that if Yeti plays it, he can't Sentry swap into it, but I'm not sure if he really wants it anyways.
What's unusual is this hand has the battery still present this late.
Oh,
That
yeah.
could be really
You
potent
wanna
on
play
a king flip.
Princess? I would like to swap.
Oh, well, he just got rid
You
of the
would?
battery.
Yes.
But he tossed it. Okay.
Okay. As soon as he sees the new card. So now that is a pretty powerful play.
Yeah, that swap definitely traded up in value. So value going from the kid to Yeti.
Yeah, he can maybe dump his hand, and I think
No
that's what
ability.
he's going for. Oop, that's going to be it. I think he's got to play the Zealot, and then next, whatever he plays, as long as he doesn't play the Judge.
Yep, there it is. Beefy 8
Yeah.
forces the kid out, and it's another
That's a rough
2-point
one.
win
Oh,
for
Elder.
Yeti.
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned from the beginning, I think the kid's hand was pretty rough. So, yeah, I think Yeti just played it, standard. He got the 2 points. Did he get 2
GG.
points? Yes, he got 2 points.
2-point. I think the
GG.
kid,
Good
if
job.
the kid doesn't
Hidden
miss
King's
on the
Hand.
king's hand guess with his
Interesting.
Inquisitor, I think he
Yes.
had a real shot
Remember,
on this
I
one. I
did
think
that.
that
Did you
was the
expect
pivotal
that?
moment.
Yeah.
He was just saying it. He said, you buried the king's hand.
the
Interesting.
Yeti special.
So he calls it the Yeti special. That's great. That's lovely. Any thoughts on this hand, Dan? Other than what
Well,
we've
as I
already talked
mentioned
about?
before, oftentimes you bury the king's hand. Yeti didn't need to use the effect, so you bury it often to facilitate exactly the initiative shifting miss that won this hand for him. Really inspired movement there, and that's how I won this hand.
Okay. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it was just, yeah, exactly that. And I think it was funny that they were both tiptoeing around the Fool. It benefited Yeti because he had more manpower to deal with the rest if he did happen to have the Fool, so he could afford to be cautious. I think the kid either had to go whole hog or just seed. And I think he was really close actually to getting. He was one card away from getting to just making it a 1 point. So yeah. Let's go ahead and get started to the next one. I think it's going to be 3 versus 4. True King going over to the kid. And I will let the players know that it's time to go. Make sure the True King is in the right spot. Boop.
There is a big difference in scores between having 3 and 4 points because that 4-point threshold means one bad hand can end it. So getting that point is a serious advantage for Yeti from this point on, although the kid does still have his mulligan.
He might not want to use it, though. That's not a bad hand he's got over there. I think
Oh,
that's,
no. Yeah, if I'm Yeti, on the other hand, this is a weak hand.
Yeah, he's got a pretty strong hand here. 2 7s. Got the Assassin Control. Got a 6-1 combo. He's got a lot of things going for him. So going over to Yeti, that's not going to be able to handle, I think. I think you take a mulligan as Yeti.
Yeah, this is definitely a mulliganal hand. He only
Yep, he just
realized one
did it.
weapon. Yep.
Here it goes.
Okay. Flip the hand.
Yeah, I was hit that for him so they can talk about that.
So I mean, yeah, I think we've talked about it already. It's the king's hand's not even in the game.
Yeah, that hand for
that's
Yeti is
probably a good one.
DOA. Yeah, it just does not
Didn't have
have
King's Hand, but still.
countermeasures. It's
I don't think that
only
makes a
really got the
difference.
queen as any offense. It's not even really
Yeah,
well set to run out the clock.
The double soldier just doesn't do anything without support.
Well, the double soldier can do something when you don't have double elder as well.
So they went ahead and mulliganed on Yeti's side, and let's take a look here.
Okay,
We've got
better hand for Yeti this time.
Correct.
So I'm having a visual glitch.
We have a visual
Where I can't see
glitch
my
happening. Let me see if I can resolve this issue.
Could you let them know?
Yeah, I'm doing that right now.
Well,
So I'm gonna have Kid go ahead and rejoin here. Things are going wild right now. This is obviously him trying to play play the time game. He needs time to think, and so he's going to take a screenshot and leave the stadium and come back. I'm just kidding. It sounds like things are going better now.
You're good, yeah.
Zelot's
I
throwing
will
away.
start.
Okay. So it looks like the kid is deciding to go first here. He's gonna play this hand. This is a tough one, I think. We've got ourselves. Whoa. We've got
It's a big
ourselves.
surprise because when you've got a mulligan in your pocket and your opponent has on 4,
Throwing away
this is the kind of hand that's high risk.
Yeah.
So he's really stretching out to save that mulligan.
He's throwing away the fool. What is happening? Maybe I have the visual glitch. He's hiding the assassin. He's throwing away the fool. He's got a 6-1 combo. This is a really powerful hand for Yedi. You're right. I am surprised that this is he's gonna play this.
Yeah,
All
with the mulligan available, if you're the kid, this is a hand that can lose 3 points. Definitely. What's the face down burn, Cena?
The face down burn is the Zealot. So
Zealot. Yeah, so this is risky, but we'll see what the kid's up
Do
to.
you have assassin?
No, I do not.
Oh boy.
he can flip early, but the problem is he needs that flip. He's got
That's exactly right.
I mean, he's got the Mystic, but this is going to be difficult, to say the least. He might just burn the...
Play
Yeah, he's going to
Oathbound.
burn the Oathbound right now.
Oh, we never flicked this back and forth.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll take care of that. If you need to use a timeout, just let me know, okay? So I just, letting them know that they can use the timeout.
thanks, Anu.
So now he has to... Oh, gosh, he's got to flip,
This is desperate.
right?
This is really desperate.
You've got to flip.
You really do have to flip right now.
Hopefully I'm still on mute.
Well, or maybe not. I mean, if you know they don't have the assassin and maybe they're hiding it and they want to assassinate you, you just play to make them flip to get it out. And that way the game will continue at least. You're not out.
Yeah, that's true, actually, yeah. So now he has a stronger bet to at least not lose by 3. Potentially. Oh,
Do you have a
no.
Zealot?
What did he ask? Did he ask for an Elder?
You asked for Zealot?
Yes.
I do not.
Wow. Fishing for the zealot.
Wow.
Listen.
It's so funny because if Yedi only knew that he kept throwing away the Zealots. But that's an interesting call out, I think. I would have tried to go for the Queen, I think, but he's now got a second wind here.
Still in tough shape.
Yeah, but it's much better. You get the Queen out now.
I'll ask
life
for
would be much better.
Princess?
Yeah, I mean Princess. Yeah, perfect.
Um,
Good hit. Oh no, his other.
Yeah, but
Sorry, that was my bad again. I'll make sure to get you guys. So to be clear, the kid still has 2 tokens,
Copy that.
and it's up to you to respond right now, Yeti. So you have 30 seconds to respond to.
Copy that.
Yeah.
Well, what the kid still has is he has to get that.
I want to go ahead and King's Hand.
I'm asking for Princess. And your King's Handing? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Right
Back to
now,
me.
it'd probably be wise.
He just used a 4. Dude, the efficiency is great. He just used a 4 for an 8.
Yeah, he's still
I'll ask.
underpowered.
Do you have Warlord?
Yes, I do.
This is a 7. And I will punch.
Yep, the kid doesn't know that Yeti threw the fool away, so he's going to want to keep this plate clean.
You think that's what that was? Yeah, that makes
I'll
sense.
go ahead and
He also knows the sentry is lurking too.
He's gonna
although-
flip. It looks like he's debating flipping. I think he
rush out
bullied.
8 here,
There we go.
just as an 8.
He goes straight to playing his queen. No bluff there. Just
Has
straight
to.
queen.
That was
I
the
know,
only
but
option.
sometimes you wait, a little bit. You can make it
Okay, so
seem.
that's pivotal. All right, so he gets this game will continue.
He doesn't have a good target for the 7.
No.
I would like to dip into my first token.
Okay, so he's got 90 seconds.
Um,
Oops. That's the opposite. That was the opposite of dipping in. Sorry about that. You're good to go.
no worries.
I just made him forfeit 3 points. I'm glad that we programmed it not to automatically do that. That's
It was a wise amount of foresight there. So at this point, right. So again, the worst
2
case scenario
points.
has been diffused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I mean he got out of that, which is good.
And actually, there is, I believe, a sequence where the kid could even win this.
No, how?
I will name the number 7.
Okay.
Interesting. Is that it? Did he hit it?
Yeah, I think so. Well,
No,
yeah.
no, he's got the queen. So he
Right,
hits the
kid-
7. He hits the assassin right now, and then he uses the queen to swap out.
If he uses the queen to swap, but yeah,
Yes.
there is a bad play could result in the kid winning this. He's not locked out of a victory
Yes,
here.
but Yedi has to play the assassin and then swap with the princess.
So here's the soldier.
And now he has to swap. And he's going to get the swap.
Do you have the princess?
Yes, I do. I would like to trade.
Yep, there it is. Okay, knowing that the assassin's a dead draw, it will. And yep, so guarantees the 2-point win for Yeti.
All right.
2 points.
2 points for Yeti. Gonna
So
get a nice golf clap.
supremely excellent use of soundboard. Supremely risky to play that out. There were quite a few moments there where it looked like it was headed for a 3-point loss, but the kid preserves his mulligan.
I almost mulliganed.
Which is very important.
I mean,
As he
you
says.
got it pretty close.
Yeah. So,
It was just that the fact that I had both 8s really killed you.
yeah, that's exactly it. And I think,
Other
Yeah.
than that, I
I
would
was
say it was excellent.
hoping this was one of the impactful,
Yeah, one of the upper. Yeah.
warlord or
it's funny.
King's
It's
Hand or
an
something like
interesting
that.
risk and reward type thing there where he
Sometimes that's
was
what you have to
banking on
do.
the fact that
Sometimes you
maybe
just
there'd
gotta
be a
hope.
high level on the outside there. So yeah, on to the next one, I think. Yeah, I think it's going to be close now. It's now 6-3. And I think that this looks like a very good hand for Yeti again.
I mulligan.
Okay. He
All right,
elects the
so
mulligan
preserving
immediately.
that mulligan for this moment.
Probably a good price. 2 9s and an 8.
That's pretty fair. Yeah. That's pretty fair.
Yeah, that's one I think you could wriggle out for a 1 or 2-point loss, but that's irrelevant right now. His back is completely against the
That's what I
wall,
was
and
saving
he needs
it
luck
for.
here to get to the end.
Alrighty.
And he might have gotten some.
Yeah, that's much better. He's got himself. Mystic is gone. He's got the judge on the thing that's destroyed, but he does have a 6-1, but he does have an assassin fool. He's got knowledge of where those are. He's got the 2 8s. I think he's sitting much better.
Yeah, this I think kid's got good hand. Of course, he's missing both royalty, but he knows that Yeti most likely only has 1 assassin countermeasure, 1 inquisitor. And of course he has both 8s, which are powerful
Yeah, that's
here.
gonna be super powerful. He just has to not get trapped by the queens. Oh no! I just realized he's got to be really careful. He's definitely got to go first here.
I will go first.
Okay.
He's definitely got to go first here.
Because yeah, he could just get beaten to death by the royalty.
They got the power. He's got the power. He's got 2 9s, 2 6s. If he just had both elders, it would have been game over.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
A guaranteed
It's a
hand.
deceptively tricky hand. Oh my goodness me! So he's
But
gonna
he
toss
does-
the assassin.
So that does mean that he needs to use 1 elder on 1 royalty card and the king flip on
He
the other.
has
He does
to,
not
yep.
have a lot of flexibility.
So he's getting rid of the fool. Interesting. I mean, it's interesting to toss the fool when the opponent only needs 1 point to win. You know, because Now they can try to draw it out to that point, and I feel like the Fool kind of at least gives you a counterbalance potentially to get more card advantage. He's putting down his Zealot Elder, and then it looks like we've got a Fool Elder, and went ahead and start. We've got ourselves Inquisitor first, so he rightly plays first.
I will name Oathbound.
Ah.
Interesting.
Would
Interesting that
have
he hits
thought
the
he would focus
Oathbound.
on the royalty.
Yeah. Maybe there's some pressure here. Oh, maybe he's getting it for the sentry? I don't know. We'll have to ask him post game. I honestly thought
Okay.
that maybe that was a sentry play.
Oh shit! Wait.
Family friendly show, please.
My apologies.
Yeah, again, usually when you have that little hand flexibility, you try to get it right away to get, when you can control it, to get the royalty out so you can elder it. But didn't go that way here. Instead, he's going to squeeze it out, most likely.
Yeah, I am curious to see what the kid's evaluation is here. He might be doing an all or nothing thing. Maybe
Yeah,
he's
to try
thinking
to
the sentry.
set up, sentry play to grab.
I thought I mean, he would have done the sentry play by now, right?
Well, he could have played it right straight instead of working his way up with the Warlord.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Maybe he's hoping the princess will use its ability. Is he thinking about a king flip here? Obviously not,
queen.
right? He gets a queen. There's a queen for you. There's your first flip. But now where's your second flip?
Okay, so gets the queen, only one choice. He has to flip to fetch his elder. He has no play on his queen.
And hope that he's gonna have to king's hand the. He's gonna have to king's
yeah,
hand the Inquisitor.
But yeah, 6-4 to Inquisit the Elder ends the game right now.
A 6-4, yeah. If it was a high number, he might just Elder now. I don't know. I mean, sorry, my Inquisitor now. Then he has to king's hand it. Maybe we're the idiots. Here we go. Straight 5.
Do you have an elder?
I do.
Up, setting up. So now it's
7.
7. That's setting up to 6-4. The kid knows by that question he has to do something, but can he do anything?
Yeah, he sure can. I think he's got the. He's got to use the sentry ability
To pick up the soldier?
and swap it with your own soldier, and then at least he won't be able to use his Oathbound or his
Oh, right, because that eliminates
No
the
use
Oathbound
of the
play.
ability.
But he did know.
Okay.
He said no use of the play. So now, if he does the
Oh,
6-4
boy.
into an Elder, he wins the game.
Oathbound
There it is. Yep.
and ask for that elder.
Yep, there it is. And Yedi has
I'm gonna play
claimed
Princess
the
with no
victory
ability.
here.
Such shrewd play. Sprung
GG.
the trap.
Wow,
You worked
really
it out.
good, really good play.
Oh, good. My apologies
You're right.
for
See,
the
I didn't see that either,
profanity.
but you did. That invoking the sentry to
Good game.
zero out the throne was the way to go.
Yeah, very
I
interesting last
I
game.
think so. I think so.
Yeah,
I'm
that
not
was
sure.
weird.
I would have to go back
I
and
kind of
play
feel
it out.
bad because you mulligan didn't feel like we got dealt almost the same hands.
Well, this one had more stuff that it could do.
Fair.
Well,
You
let's
have
go
to
ahead and
play
see if we
round
can pull
both
them
Assassin
into
and
the Imposter
Fool.
King Stadium. So I'm going to go ahead
I
and
don't.
cut the feed. Let them know that we, GG. Yeah. Anyways, I'll go ahead and do the ceremonial flip.
Right?
Do a couple golf claps, golf claps, golf
Wow,
claps.
a round of applause. Hooray! I did it!
And then
The goose approves.
And then of course, all right, we're good there. So I'll go ahead and pull us out of Imposter King Stadium and get us into our very cool Zoom view. If I knew how to do that, but I'm a genius. All right. So, there we go. And welcome back, Dan. Hello. I'm going to put my camera on and disable the side camera so that way it's not weird. There we go. Hi.
Tina, great match.
Yeah, it was
Some
tense.
excellent play there.
Honestly, the Speed Kings is really fun to watch because I'm trying to calculate things just as quickly as they are, and it is tough. It is tough when you're under pressure like that to decide how to move forward with your hand. I felt both players did a really good job of kind of adjusting their play style to match what the timer was giving them. There's pivotal times where you have to think a little bit more, but I think at the end of the day, there was a lot of different lines, and at the end of the day, Yedi just hit a couple really solid ones near the end, especially where he kind of knew exactly how to play it. I think there's a lot of times where I was like, oh, he should do this, and then he didn't do it, and then you see why he didn't do it. For example, that second game where he won with the assassin, did not think about flipping that early. Or in that last game, being able to hold on to the 6-4 to guarantee. I think a lot of people would have tried to just inquisit the king's hand and try to win that way. So kudos to both of
Yeah,
them. Really, really solid play from both sides.
I would agree. Excellent high level play. I'd say that Yeti won this with the third hand on 2-3. Just exquisitely played, hiding the king's hand the way he did, and then springing everything from that point on is what really took initiative in the match. And again, getting the 4 is so big because you put your opponent on so much pressure from the meta of the scoreboard. And
Right.
from that point on, it worked its way where he played extremely well to then take advantage of that advantage to get the 7. But it was just excellent play. And they both played so well.
Mm-hmm.
High level play. That's championship level play, what we just saw.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it would be nice to have both of them kind of come on the show and let us know how they felt. I felt like both of them used their mulligans in a good fashion. I really thought it was really interesting that the kid decided to play that hand. So I'm curious to pick his mind about that. As true with every Zoom call, there has to be updates. So let there be updates, and then we'll get them in shortly.
It's a big update. That's right. Yeah, that mulligan, we'll have to ask the kid when he joins about the choice to play that hand at 4-3, which worked out. He preserved his mulligan
Right.
because that did not look like a promising hand. That looked like the kind of hand you'd lose 3 points on. So a
Absolutely.
daring play, and he needed that mulligan because he got an even worse hand in the next deal.
Right.
But love to dig in on kind of the thought process there. As he said, he almost did mulligan. So what pulled him back
Yeah,
from that?
I wonder what was the impetus. I thought it was quite an interesting decision. So we'll get them on shortly. I am just curious about whether you think that the time actually had a factor in that play today.
It's a good question. Both players played fast, and important thing about Speed Kings is knowing the right time to slow the game down. I thought the kid made excellent use of that, of kind of recognizing when the pivotal play was and using the extra time when it was there.
Right.
Um, the interesting thing about it is when you're playing fast, sometimes you can get a little predictable. You fall into the patterns that you're comfortable with, or you make snap plays, which tend to not be the non-intuitive play.
Right.
And so I think we may have seen that, for example, with overlooking the sentry as an option to wriggle out of that jam in the last game.
Yep. And I'm gonna go ahead and bring in the kid now. It says joining. Finger magic. And now. There it is. Hey, it worked. The kid. Hey, how are you?
Hello.
Pleasure to see you. All the way from the other side of the world. Where it's starting to become
Yeah.
summer, right?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, man.
I'm shocked you know that, but yeah, weather's getting better.
It tends to be the opposite. So, yeah. Anyways, wonderful match. It was back and forth. There was a lot of interesting plays, and I'm curious. Actually, the first question I have to ask you is that one mulligan, or sorry, the hand that you didn't mulligan.
Hmm.
If that will, what made you decide not to mulligan that hand?
Um, well, it's if we weren't playing Speed Kings, I'd probably have more of an explanation for you. But sometimes you just got to make the call. You got 30 seconds on the clock. It's like, oh, I'm gonna go with it.
Okay,
I tend to like saving my mulligan as long as I can.
fair.
And it was a hand where I would stay in the match with a 2 point loss. So
Yeah,
I felt comfortable that I was not going to get 3 pointed. And then yeah,
we were both. I mean, I was worried for you. I was like, oh, but you were able to navigate it to a 2 point, which was exactly what your plan was, which is awesome. I think that was the biggest surprise is that what me and Dan were talking about is how much did the timer actually affect the players, and how did it affect you during that match?
um, I think the hardest bit is the starting decisions. Um, while you're playing out the rest of the game, you can usually rely on the fundamentals, where it's like, okay, they play a seven. Well, probably my best play is to play my seven because I don't want to commit an eight yet. Or
Right.
it's reasonably easy to not screw up some of the turn by turn, but the overarching strategy is the hardest bit to get a handle on. Usually I have a very good idea of how the whole game is going to play out before we start. Playing Speed Kings, you never know.
Just to keep in mind, everyone, the kid also has created puzzles for this game, meaning that he actually does dream different scenarios and is able to kind of craft a solution for things once the game state is set. But that's exactly right. There's a bit of a risk, and I think a meta actually that's going to develop with Speed Kings where do you use your timer early and be okay with it? I noticed that neither of you actually used both of your tokens. So it's like, when do you actually commit? And how much pressure will it give you near the end of the game when it's 3 versus 3 and someone's got a princess? So there's usually a lot of
Yeah.
calculation there. But yeah, Dan, did you have any thoughts?
Well, it's just superbly played. I mean, it was some really high level imposter kings. Again, tough set of hands there at the end. I really was amazed at how you managed to wriggle out of that jam to turn what actually did look like it might turn a 3 point loss into a 2 point loss. Some excellent play. And it turned out you needed that mulligan because that next hand was worse than the one that you'd kept before. So it's what kept you in the match at that point. Um, and yeah, there are a couple of pivotal parts, especially early in the match. We're talking about, for example, the case of the Inquisitor guess at the King's hand. I think it was in the first or the second game. That really was a
Painful.
momentum shifter. Was that a surprise when you missed? Did you figure at that point that had been successor? Did you figure it was burned, or was that a surprise?
I was playing as if that was the burn card, the, the accused, whatever you would like to call it, because I thought I kind of needed the good news in that hand, and obviously if I'd forced the king's hand out there, then I get to play sentry and pick up assassin, and then Yedi is forced to play on the back foot, and I've cleared out one of his threats.
Right.
So that was the plan. When that didn't work, I decided I'm just gonna assume the king's hand is out, and that was good news for me, and try and play it out from there.
I love that attitude when you play. That's how you typically play. Is that I was telling Dan during the game. I was like, the kid usually plays a game of risk where it's either you're gonna like win or you're going to lose, but you have to play with that mentality and you can't back foot it, right? So if you're gonna make that assumption with the king's hand, that's the risk you took, and you got to play knowing that. And I think it didn't work out for you this time, but I think that in the long term, that's the right way to think about it, which is What is the chance of this person doing this? Yeti played some pretty nutty. He plays differently than anyone I've ever seen in this games, especially in like the finals. Like I mean, he's putting the assassin down multiple times. He flipped immediately on that second round. Like it was, you know, comment people who were listening to me commentate. I was basically like, what is he doing? He can't flip now. I play the battery. What are you doing? And then he flipped, and I was like, wait, hold on. There's no response to this anymore. And so yeah, I think. Well, we're gonna have Yeti come in here, but we wanted to say congrats on making it to the finals. I know it didn't work out for you, but that was some superb play. As Dan mentioned, really pleasure to watch, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Always a pleasure. Love to have the games cast. I'll watch the VOD, do some homework. Come back stronger next time. Cheers, guys.
All right, thank you. Cheers.
Thanks. Cheers.
Well, what a wonderful contender. I mean, he has been part of the community from the beginning. He's been, he plays other card games too, competitively. He's got a great attitude. I think that's a tough bout that he just had, and he's come in here chipper, talking about his strategy. Really appreciate him and all the hard work he's put in. He's also got videos you should check out on the Imposter Kings on some of the strategy stuff if you want to get really into the strategy.
That's right. If you're watching the VOD right now, you should look those up. The interesting thing, you mentioned that the time pressure and the impact of it. It's true. It's that initial setup when you're picking your successor, when you're picking your burn, and then when you're thinking through the cadence of the hand, whether to go first, what initiative you want to take, that whole sequence. It takes a lot of time. All the best players think through that and generally have a feel for how the hand will go given what's there, and you just cannot do that in 30 seconds. So
right.
that is a big impact.
What is your game plan and what is their game plan, and does your game plan beat theirs, essentially, is what you're assessing or evaluating. And yeah, as I mentioned, I think some people are going to start taking that extra minute 30 at the beginning. It'll be curious to see, which type of players do that, because for me, I know that I actually am... I tend to not think through it at the beginning and try to do something that's more tricky. That's why I'm never in the tournaments, because I usually don't get admitted because I don't make it far enough. But it's different play styles will emerge from that, and I think that's going to be pretty awesome. So let's go ahead and get our champion in here. Nolan, hello. Is this Yeti? Hello?
Yeti, congratulations.
Congrats.
Thank you. Hello.
How's it going?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeti, coming back from that first 3-point loss to kind of do some interesting plays, which we'll talk about, and able to make yourself a victory. Yeti, not only well-versed in the Imposter Kings from the beginning, as I've mentioned pregame, he's been watching he's watched all of One Piece, which is, if you're watching that much of One Piece,
6,000 episodes of One Piece.
You know the hero's journey, and
yes.
so Yeti was playing the slow game to really anime up and win this final, this final tournament. Very great.
Yeah.
So Yeti, second hand, you put your assassin as your successor. You have the battery. You decide not to play the battery. I believe the kid played something. You play your judge. And then they played their no, they didn't play the judge. You played an Inquisitor, missed. They played an Oathbound, and then you decided to just flip. You thought you had him at that point. Is that right?
I believe so, if I remember correctly.
So at that point, you knew that you were probably going to win on that flip.
I thought I would be able to get the assassin off. Yeah. So.
Wow.
If I remember the hand correctly, I could be wrong here. I did successfully assassinate him there.
You
correct?
did, yes. That was the hand that you assassinated him.
So,
I was yelling at you. I was saying, "Hey, play the battery," and you're like, "Nah, I'm gonna flip." And to Dan's point, he was like, "If you play the judge, then he has the opportunity to flip himself." And I said, "It's still an advantageous position, but that's a guaranteed 2-point that you got there, and it could have not been that." So I thought that was great.
Yeah, I would say it's almost muscle memory at this point for a lot of us who play the game to like see judge, and if we've already cleared assassin or something like that, to flip on that. It's almost like it's muscle memory to such an extent that I've lost to my brother doing that but he had the assassin, and I was thinking of the wrong purple card. I was trying to play around fool. I forgot about assassin. Um,
That's fair.
but so yeah, it was but basically it's like I don't remember exactly what that hand was, to be honest, but it was
Well,
something along the lines of what did I inquisit? Do you remember?
I think that may have been the one where he missed on inquisiting your king's
Your
hand.
king's hand,
Yeah, and
maybe.
so
He
that was
started
the
with
one
that.
where you had successored the king's hand, which turned out to be a very inspired move
I
again
think that's
because
actually
that
the
I
next one.
guess. Or is that a
That's a
different
different
hand?
one
Ah,
because
okay.
he had inquisited assassin into inquisiting king's hand.
That's right.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And that was when he had the double inquisitor. But in general, first of all, how do you feel about the time pressure? Did that affect you at all in this match, or did you really felt comfortable with your game plans?
Felt pretty comfortable.
Did
I
you
would
prep,
say
by the way, against the
no,
kid?
not at all.
It really felt like you were playing some lines that I don't think you normally would play. I mean, maybe it's just been a while since we've played together, but you've successored the assassin quite a lot. You're playing some tricky stuff. I think that, and the fact that the last hand, which by the way, immaculately played, I think that most people would have just played the Inquisitor into Elder, whereas you held on to it for a 6-4 play, which would, for those of you not familiar with what's going on, the using the Oathbound to play the Inquisitor means that they cannot counter it using the King's Hand. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, it just felt like you're very prepared. So I guess if you didn't prepare, kudos to you.
Thank you. That hand was a lot closer than it looked. So I originally looked at the hand and I was like, okay, he only has Elder as response, so that's dicey. And then I almost, as you said, a lot of people would have just fished for the Elder. On top of that, I almost Oathbound Inquisited when it was still face down.
I saw that you were hovering over your Oathbound during one of those times, and I was like, ooh, I don't. And then you decided to instead play your Queen, I believe.
I played Queen, he flipped on it, and then I played Soldier.
Correct.
Because if I Inquisit the same problem happens again. If I try to Inquisit his Elder, he can King's Hand it.
Did you have an answer if he decided to use his Sentry and use the ability so that way it kept the value down? At that point, would
Um,
you have had to just use the Inquisitor or the
I
Inquisitor on the Elder?
I would have just had to go for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough. Yeah, I'm curious to see how that game would play out on that route. I think it still may have won with just 1 point, which would have been enough at that point. But
Yeah, maybe.
winning with two feels much better.
Yes. Well, also, I was in a very comfortable position in the way of the fact that he only had 3 points. Like, I was willing to kind of play a little bit more dangerously in a way. Because it's like, okay, he has 3 points. There's no chance that I can lose this game on this hand.
Correct.
Now I can still get 3 pointed, and if you get 3 pointed, it's like, okay, now I have to win. But at the very least, you're not worrying about, okay, well, I lose to a 2 point hand now.
Right. Yeah, totally. Well, again, congratulations. Dan, did you have anything you want to?
No, superbly done. I mean, again, the way in which, that last game, I think really showed just your mastery in this series. Again, the way that you honed in and knew the exact right time to go hunting for the Elder, and the way you pinned that down and forced the circumstances where there was no countermeasure. Again, it's just textbook. It's awareness, and it's knowing the timing and knowing the sequence of the cards. And it's so easy to bungle that. And the fact that you didn't and knew exactly what to go after, you take advantage of the luck you get, and that's how you win games and win matches. It was just really superbly done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, fantastic job, Yedi. Thank you for joining us, and thanks for your trajectory up to the top was quite good. I mean, you just kind of shot to the top there, and I think this is a fantastic final, which was a great test of skill between both you and the kid, both veterans of the game, in a slightly new format. I think, as I said before you came on, I was mentioning that I think a meta might form around when you use your time tokens and whatnot. But I think in this situation, there was just so many interesting plays that I think the diversity of play styles is only going to get higher with the new stuff. And you showed a lot of new tech already. I think it's like new old tech. It's people used to always put their assassins down as their successor. Then there's a whole phase of people never doing that, and now you brought it back, and you're kind of vacillating between it. So he was scared. He had to throw out the Inquisitor to get your assassin, and then he hits the king's hand, which you happen to. That's the next thing that you put down. So it's like you really put down the right things there, and I think it was fantastic to watch.
Yeah. I would like to think it's a good mix of luck and skill for sure.
Yeah.
And one thing I would say that definitely is helpful is the fact that I've played the kid in the past. Right? I
Yeah.
know that he's a good player. He's a very thorough player. So that's the moment where you realize, oh wait, Elder's face down because I'm not playing somebody who's new at the game. Like he has thought this through. So that was
Right.
certainly helpful.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much, and hopefully we'll see you at the next tournament.
Absolutely.
And it was good to see you again.
Always a
Congrats.
pleasure. Thank you.
Well, both players being super, it's just fun. I mean, it's fun. It's a fun community where people are just playing and trying to improve. And I love the atmosphere. There's quite a lot of humbleness and ability to kind of just draw out and understand each other's play styles and kind of like a concert there. So I was really excited about this championship. I think it was a fantastic showcase of what Speed Kings can achieve.
I agree. I mean, it's such a wonderful community, and just getting to participate in the summer tournament myself, it just reminds me of what a delight it is to play against this community,
Oh,
this
you were
group.
in the tournament, weren't you?
How good everyone has gotten. It was a bit humbling. Some difficult hands there, but
Let's go
again,
ahead and
folks
look
are
at the
always
table
pushing
real
the meta
fast.
forward. And
How'd
for
you-
those of you who are watching this, if you want to get in on this, get in the next tournament, the link to the Discord, which is how these are all organized, is in the description for this video. So I highly recommend check it out, say hello. It's a wonderful group of folks. And that could be you stepping into Imposter King Stadium the next time the tournament wraps. So it could be you.
Yeah, and I'll make sure the videographer, whoever it is, or the editor puts that description, that link at the bottom there. But anyways, thank you all for joining. Thanks for both Yedi and for the kid for joining and playing the championship and allowing us to do a VOD for it. It is so fun to watch, and I hope everyone has a good night or a good day or whenever you're watching this.
Good night, everyone.
I don't have a stinger for this one, so I'm just gonna do a cold cut. Hold on, let me put the splash screen up. There we go.
We'll fix it in post,
I'll
folks.
fix it in post.